I think as a designer, your goal should always be improving the life of the people you are working with. I think as a designer, you always have to work with your client into making their goal happen, especially when that goal is to create a better living. Could be for a family when it's a house, it could be for a community when you're doing an office space, or it could be like for the whole city when you're doing like public spaces or when you're doing like food court in a mall. Hi, hello, my name is Felipe. I am one of the principals of Estudio Arkipelago, and we were the designers of this beautiful place. I think the dream of like the owners was always to have like a garden somehow. And then the first day that we were talking, I think we already aligned our thoughts and our mindset that we needed a place with a soul, a place different from all the commercial industrial spaces that you can find around Makati.
So hi, I'm Maya Colayco. My family and I developed Comuna. But I guess, Jar, for title, people call me Mayora. So I say that I'm the mayor of this town. So we started out, we bought this property in 2017, which actually used to be a taxi terminal from the 60s to the 80s. So people who grew up in Pio Campo know this as Crucette Taxi. The front of it had, I guess, what we can describe as shop houses. So they had a random combination of businesses. Parang like just your random neighborhood stuff that to the untrained eye doesn't really look like much. But my mom, who's been a developer at that point, like maybe 50 years, saw this place as super interesting. She said, this is gonna be my last project. This is where I'm going to put everything in. Like she had sort of learned how to do in her 50 years, building from low-cost housing, small subdivisions, building management. Nothing big, but basically a very deep knowledge of how people like to use space. So when she came in, like she was thinking that she wanted to feel comfortable or to feel good when she entered a place. I want a place that feels comfortable, that feels just bright and wide open. First one. The second is she said, I want when I enter a place, I want to stay. Diba? I want to stay. So that's two things really. That's a design brief and that's a tenancy brief. Diba? Like what kind of tenants will you find inside that makes you want to stay in a place once you're there? Diba? You're soaking up the openness or after that o ano na.
Hi, I'm JJ Acuna, founder and director of Bespoke Studio, based in Hong Kong and Manila. I started Bespoke Studio 10 years ago. We do concept narrative, concept spaces, specifically architectural concept and interior design. It's kind of a hybrid studio, and none of our work looks the same. Every project is aligned with the spirit of what the client really wants. So that's our studio. I was trying to manifest a shopfront office and I didn't know what that looked like. But when I was in Hong Kong, I was introduced to an architect engineer named Sylvester Wong, who I was asking him if he knew of a cool office space in Manila. And he said, actually, I just designed something called Comuna. So to me, Comuna is great because it's a nice third space. It's another kind of space that brings people together. It's a nice little break, and it allows people to discover new things, meet new people accidentally, discover art, So I feel like Manila, Makati, Philippine cities really need more places like Comuna where you can't quite put a finger about what it's supposed to be. What it is that it supports creatives.
Hi, hello, I'm Dan Matutina. I'm a designer and illustrator. I am the co-founder of Plus 63 and a Hydra Design Group. So I'm a designer, but I do a bunch of other things. So we also worked on the branding and the wayfinding of the space. Ayun, the logo, I think the logo just came to be because I was like, the thinking was that the name was there already. Na parang, when you're building a community space, a space for designers and creative people, parang the community should come first. So that was how the identity was done. So parang yung com was like community, tas una, one, first. So parang community first. And we thought na if Comuna was the space, parang it's a bit more rigid and consistent. And then the one who's like number one in the space or the community or creative people who would be there is presented in different shape and form. So parang that was the thinking lang. And also in terms of like the format, because there's a big stairs in front, so the primary lockup is this.
I realized that the most beautiful connections in between like small owners or small entrepreneurs happen when you give them like an empty space for them to like develop their things or to dream.
I think it's important that we actually had the perspective of Sylvester, who's actually worked abroad, and Felipe, who's from Spain, because they understood right away when my mom said, she said to the other designers before these two came in, she goes, sayangin nyo yung lupa. Parang ayoko ng I don't want a tight space, but I want to feel good. She goes, so it's clear, sayangin mo yung lupa and pretend it's got no value. And Felipe is the one who named it Comuna. It's like he goes, Maya, a favela in Brazil is a comuna. But he goes, it's characterized, because it's an informal settlement, characterized by a lot of open space where people can actually meet, collaborate, and share resources. O, di bang ganda? So that was the architectural intent. That's why, hence, the really big open spaces.
It's hard to find spaces if you're a creative person because all spaces are expensive and not all creative people can afford to rent or to pay for the expenses, utilities of moving into a space, and it can be very scary. So having a space na like, of course it's a mix of people who are established, who are new, but there's a lot more younger people in this space, and the younger people is the one that really gives it the heart.
I was really pleased to know that the rest of my neighbors and tenants were in graphic design, art, F&B, creative ventures. I think there's some tech in there. There's also a podcasting studio, an architect upstairs. I couldn't have found better neighbors and a better building.
So Felipe designed it to be a place where people could actually just like bump into each other, share resources, make friends with each other. Architectural intent never told to Dan, right? He basically designed it, built it with that intention. Dan and other artists saw it right away. So if that isn't like completely realized architectural intent, I don't know what is.
There is really, I think, a deeper talk or a deeper conversation or analysis about how the cities are growing without these forcible spaces for community to interact, to interchange knowledge, things, services, and to really have like public spaces where we can really rethink how we want to live, like to have life beyond work. The biggest problem that all these cities have is that there is really no public space. So it has to be private developers or private owners, the one that have to make an effort, give their super expensive, land or piece of land or piece of lot to really make it happen.
And I think a lot of people can feel na there's a level of, authenticity and genuineness to the space. That's why a lot of people coming here. And also the space is nice. So that's also part of it na there's a space in Metro Manila with, maybe it's not so big, but it's a green space where people can go, interact, and that the space is very diverse and not commercial in a way.
I got 2 tenants through Instagram. Scratch was one of them, actually. You know how they got me? They sent me some sourdough bread. It was so good. So they're explaining to me. I said, so what do you guys do? I like bread, right? But I wasn't necessarily looking for a bakery. They're like, we're looking for a place kasi. So Charlene and Ralph said, try the bread and then see if you like it and then give us a chance. So I tried the bread. And if you've tried the bread of scratch, you're like, definitely we need these guys in here.
As a designer, I think my philosophy is to always try to go, beyond the aesthetic and of course, prioritize not only the functionality, but the experience that you have when you walk into a place. And I think Comuna is also a good proof of that, into really trying to go beyond a space of it's a nice space. It's not a nice space. It's a space where things can happen, when life can be better, and when we give to society a little bit as a designer, that is not just for today, it's for how we want the city that we want to give to to our kids or to the world. It's not a big space, but I think it's huge.
At some point there has to be a balance between, I guess, the highest and best use of a property and the creation of a community. For the sake of furthering Philippine creative work, creative industry, creative identity, spaces like this are super important. The design enabled the community to form, which lets you live a better life. It's a non-demanding effect of good design.
Do you have a design that you would like to share with Design Will Save the World? If so, email us at designwillsavetheworldchannel@gmail.com.